Thank you for joining me in another video exploring A Course in Miracles. Today we are at lesson 29 and we'll be continuing a reading of the text. We are in chapter 19 and we're exploring the obstacles to peace. And so today we're looking at the second obstacle. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as always, at the end, we look at a principle of miracles. And so I think we are at number 47. I'm sorry, I'm laughing still at the speaker video because in the last video, it disappeared altogether. Okay, anyway, read A Course in Miracles. We are clicking on the text, scrolling down to chapter 19, the attainment of peace. We are in section B, the second obstacle, the belief the body is valuable for what it offers. And then we'll continue into the subsection, which is the attraction of pain. Paragraph 1. We said that peace must first surmount the obstacle of your desire to get rid of it. Where the attraction of guilt holds sway, peace is not wanted. The second obstacle that peace must flow across, and closely related to the first, is the belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. For here is the attraction of guilt made manifest in the body and seen in it. Let's continue with paragraph 2. This is the value that you think peace would rob you of. This is what you believe that it would dispossess and leave you homeless. And it is this for which you would deny a home to peace. This sacrifice you feel to be too great to make, too much to ask of you. Is it a sacrifice or a release? What has the body really given you that justifies your strange belief that in it lies salvation? Do you not see that this is the belief in death? Here is the focus of the perception of atonement as murder. Here is the source of the idea that love is fear. Okay, so what we're learning is that our defense of the body and our belief in the body's function is what keeps us from peace. That we use the body to distract us from peace. The peace that we've been talking about in the previous videos is this deep underlying reservoir that is available to us. However, to access that, it does require a shift in consciousness to where it feels like even though there's awareness, there's an awakeness, somehow the body does fade into the background. The part that is conscious, the part that is aware, the part that even says I is no longer entwined with the body's function. There's space there. All right, let's go back to the text for paragraph 3. The Holy Spirit's messengers are sent far beyond the body, calling the mind to join in Holy Communion and be at peace. Such is the message that I gave them for you. It is only the messengers of fear that see the body, for they look for what can suffer. Is it a sacrifice to be removed from what can suffer? The Holy Spirit does not demand you sacrifice the hope of the body's pleasure. It has no hope of pleasure, but neither can it bring you fear of pain. Pain is the only sacrifice the Holy Spirit asks, and this he would remove. Let's continue for paragraph 4. Peace is extended from you only to the eternal, and it reaches out from the eternal in you. It flows across all else. The second obstacle is no more solid than the first, for you want neither to get rid of peace nor limit it. What are these obstacles that you would interpose between peace and its going forth, but barriers you place between your will and its accomplishment? You want communion, not the feast of fear. You want salvation, not the pain of guilt. And you want your Father, not a little mound of clay to be your home. In your holy relationship is your Father's Son. He has not lost communion with him nor with himself. When you agree to join your brother, you acknowledge this is so. This has no cost, but it has release from cost. I like this part. You want communion, not the feast of fear. You want salvation, not the pain of guilt. And you want your Father, not a little mound of clay to be your home. And so if we were to ask seriously our personalities what the personality wants, the personality would easily agree. But through our everyday existence, showing up in the world as it is, we have this idea that our life is the body. What we are is the body. And so we go at lengths to defend the body's happiness, the body's safety, the body's health and well-being. What we innocently end up doing is making the body the most important thing, but yet peace can never be found in the body. The peace that I was just talking about precedes the body. The peace that this paragraph, this section is talking about precedes the body. It's a deep peace. And so I guess we're being asked to affirm what is it that we truly want, and then observing the choices that we make and asking ourselves, does this bring me closer to what I want, or does it bring me further away from what I want? Does this bring me closer to peace? Does it bring me closer to love, or does it take me further away from peace and love? Does it take me towards chaos? Does it take me into guilt and fear, anger, and worry? All right, so let's continue with paragraph 5. You have paid very dearly for your illusions, and nothing you have paid for brought you peace. Are you not glad that heaven cannot be sacrificed, and sacrifice cannot be asked of you? There is no obstacle that you can place before our union, for in your holy relationship I am there already. We will surmount all obstacles together, for we stand within the gates and not outside. How easily the gates are opened from within to let peace through, to bless this tired world. Can it be difficult for us to walk past barriers together when you have joined the limitless? The end of guilt is in your hands to give. Would you stop now to look for guilt in your brother? Let's continue for paragraph 6. Let me be to you the symbol of the end of guilt, and look upon your brother as you would look on me. Forgive me all the sins you think the Son of God committed, and in the light of your forgiveness, he will remember who he is and forget what never was. I ask for your forgiveness, for if you are guilty, so must I be. But if I surmounted guilt and overcame the world, you were with me. Would you see in me the symbol of guilt or of the end of guilt, remembering that what I signify to you, you see within yourself? So I'm just going to pause here to remind you that the I, the point of view in this section, is Christ himself. And so he's asserting, he's speaking directly to us. And so as we take a minute to think about that and let that possibility be true, and for our minds to create the space for that possibility, that it is the word, it is the voice, it is the intent of Christ himself speaking to us to undo the error in our thinking and our misperceptions, the error in our thinking that has created the belief in separation. Out of the belief in separation is born guilt and fear and anger and worry. Ideally, the desire to join, the desire to connect, but sometimes and often it isn't. What comes out of guilt is often judgment, attack, and an inability to see another's innocence. And so, yeah, so if we're just taking a minute to receive these words, to become vigilant to what it is that we're choosing moment to moment, and that we're being given an opportunity to choose peace no matter what. And when we choose peace no matter what this paragraph is saying is that we free our brothers and sisters from judgment. And so forgiveness is no longer a required course. In this paragraph, he's asking us to even take our brothers and sisters off the hook altogether and look to him. Can you forgive me? And let that be enough. But what that really says is that actually forgiveness isn't even necessary. And what the lessons have been showing us is that there is a practice in seeing things differently. It's just a matter of whether we do or not. But right now, and especially for our part, because we're still relatively new at this, for our part, it's just enough to be willing, to have a small willingness to just show up, to be curious, to see what happens next, to notice what feels funny or what doesn't make sense, put it on a shelf for later, ask a friend, put a comment in the comments. But I'll ask again, what is it inside that has us choosing to remain justified in our grievances? Because we are, inevitably, there's always somebody in our world who has the ability to push our buttons. And they're our greatest soul companions, actually, because in the face of these irritations, they're creating the opportunity for us to be love in the face of it, to choose love in the face of it, to choose to see peace instead of this, which is one of the lessons that we haven't gotten to yet. All right, I'm going to go back to share the screen for paragraph 7. So from your holy relationship, truth proclaims the truth and love looks on itself. Salvation flows from deep within the home you offered to my Father and to me. And we are there together in the quiet communion in which the Father and the Son are joined. O come, ye faithful, to the holy union of the Father and the Son in you, and keep you not apart from what is offered you in gratitude for giving peace its home in heaven. Send forth to all the world the joyous message of the end of guilt, and all the world will answer. Think of your happiness as everyone offers you witness of the end of sin and shows you that its power is gone forever. Where can guilt be when the belief in sin is gone? And where is death when its great advocate is heard no more? So just to remind you that sin is lovelessness and all the effects that come out of lovelessness. And so what would that be like to undo lovelessness within our own hearts, within our own minds, and then beget that in the world? Okay, so let's go back. And we're at paragraph 8. Oh, actually, what I liked about that paragraph was the suggestion that both the Holy Father and his Holy Son are within us, that we have access to that wisdom, to that consciousness, and to that light. And so what would our lives be like if we truly believed that and were reaching for that reconciliation or for that congruency within us? What that would look like for us is to emerge as highly evolved beings. And so what a possibility that would be. Okay, so going back now for paragraph 8. Forgive me your illusions and release me from punishment for what I have not done. So will you learn the freedom that I taught by teaching freedom to your brother and so releasing me. I am within your holy relationship, yet you would imprison me behind the obstacles you raise to freedom and bar my way to you. Yet it is not possible to keep away one who is there already. And in him it is possible that our communion, where we are joined already, will be the focus of the new perception that will bring the light to the world contained in you. Okay, and so it sounds like this paragraph is pointing to the same thing, that this is an opportunity to be the light and to emerge as a pure being motivated by love, seeking peace at every turn, curious and playful and essentially creative, because the universal life force is creative, and then to see what kind of world would be born out of that. I think this reminds me then of the description of the little garden. All right, so we are going to come back to sharing the screen and we're going to continue with our reading. We're going back to the table of contents for chapter 19. We are in the second obstacle, and so now we're going into the subsection, the attraction of pain. And so we're going to explore the attraction of pain, because in as much as the mind through the body seeks pleasure, it also seeks secretly pain, because the pain affirms the separation, affirms this life. It affirms that this is real. And so subconsciously we cling to pain, actually. All right, so let's see what this has to say. Paragraph 9. Your little part is but to give the Holy Spirit the whole idea of sacrifice and to accept the peace he gives instead, without the limits that would hold its extension back and so would limit your awareness of it. For what he gives must be extended if you would have its limitless power and use it for the Son of God's release. It is not this you would be rid of, and having it, you cannot limit it. If peace is homeless, so are you, and so am I. And he who is our home is homeless with us. Is this your wish? Would you forever be a wanderer in search of peace? Would you invest your hope of peace and happiness in what must fail? And all I can say here is that peace is right here. It is only a thought away. It just takes a shift in perception. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And in my experience, it does take time. It does. I think as we practice it, it can become instantaneous, and that which was stressful in one moment can be turned around in an instant and become something humorful and playful, and the truth can be seen. That is possible. I've experienced that. But for most of us, I think we can give ourselves grace to say that, okay, if we just simply acknowledge or recognize that peace is here, we're not separate from it. It's just that it's a few layers deep. And so it does typically take a little bit of time to settle into it and allow it in a way to find us, to take over us. All right, I'm going to go back to share the screen now for paragraph 10. Faith in the eternal is always justified, for the eternal is forever kind, infinite in its patience, and wholly loving. It will accept you wholly and give you peace, yet it can unite only with what already is at peace in you, immortal as itself. The body can bring you neither peace nor turmoil, neither joy nor pain. It is a means and not an end. It has no purpose of itself, but only what is given to it. The body will seem to be whatever is the means for reaching the goal that you assign to it. Only the mind can set a purpose, and only the mind can see the means for its accomplishment and justify its use. Peace and guilt are both conditions of the mind to be attained, and these conditions are the home of the emotions that calls them forth and therefore is compatible with them. Let's keep going for paragraph 11. But think you which it is that is compatible with you. Here is your choice, and it is free, but all that lies in it will come with it, and what you think you are can never be apart from it. The body is the great seeming betrayer of faith. In it lies disillusionment and the seeds of faithlessness, but only if you ask of it what it cannot give. Can your mistake be reasonable grounds for depression and disillusionment, and for retaliative attack on what you think has failed you? Use not your error as the justification for your faithlessness. You have not sinned, but you have been mistaken in what is faithful, and the correction of your mistake will give you grounds for faith. Right, because we tend to put our focus and attention on our bodies and other people's bodies as opposed to putting our attention on the eternal. And of course, it's understandable because this is our focus. When we look into the world through our eyes, it's one another's bodies that we see. And if we look in a mirror, it's our own body that we see, and we experience this reality through bodies. And so it seems reasonable that it would be the body that we are defending. But the body, as this paragraph is saying, it only has the function that our mind assigns to it. And so that could be a fun thing to play around with. So we could say that, okay, the body's function is as a vehicle to get us into certain situations, to have us meeting certain people, or to have certain kinds of experiences through the senses. That could be the function of the body. And so, okay, if we assign that to be the sole function of the body, then we can leave it there, because that's not the be all and end all, is it? It's not the end. So what is the end is the eternal, and we cannot put all our faith in that which is not eternal, because we are not here to stay, and nobody gets out of here alive, right? So let's continue for paragraph 12. It is impossible to seek for pleasure through the body and not feel pain, right? Because this is the realm of paradox, hot and cold, up and down, left and right, pleasure and pain. I'll start again. It is impossible to seek for pleasure through the body and not find pain. It is essential that this relationship be understood, for it is one the ego sees as proof of sin. It is not really punitive at all. It is but the inevitable result of equating yourself with the body, which is the invitation to pain, for it invites fear to enter and become your purpose. The attraction of guilt must enter with it, and whatever fear directs the body to do is therefore painful. It will share the pain of all illusions, and the illusion of all pleasure will be the same as pain. Let's keep going for paragraph 13. Is not this inevitable? Under fear's orders, the body will pursue guilt, serving its master, whose attraction to guilt maintains the whole illusion of its existence. This, then, is the attraction of pain. Ruled by this perception, the body becomes the servant of pain, seeking it dutifully and obeying the idea that pain is pleasure. It is this idea that underlies all of the ego's heavy investment in the body, and it is this insane relationship that it keeps hidden and yet feeds upon. To you, it teaches that the body's pleasure is happiness, yet to itself it whispers, it is death. What my mind is bringing up here is how the body gets attacked through the attack thoughts. So if we feel that we're separate, that we're not enough, that there's something inherently wrong with us to be so alone and kicked out of the kingdom of heaven, then how do we treat the body as a result of that? So we go into habits of self-soothing and comfort, which then creates the conditions for addiction. We attack the body by seeking pleasure to avoid the pain, and that can look like comfort eating and comfort drinking, or seeking other people's bodies to give us comfort, because the idea of being alone, which is an illusion, is so unbearable. And so I can see then how the body's size, shape, condition becomes an effect of what the mind is believing as true. And the mind, through its thought systems, can only land at the birthplace of separation and be sitting in a bath of guilt, because true love is without the story. True love, true unconditional love, doesn't come with a script. It doesn't come with funny jokes or whispering sweet nothings or poetry. It doesn't even, it can be expressed as that, but true unconditional love precedes all of that. It doesn't have a longing, actually. Unconditional true love doesn't need anything. It doesn't want anything. It just is. Okay, so I'm going to continue now. We're just going to go back to our text to keep going. Paragraph 14. Why should the body be anything to you? Certainly, what it is made of is not precious, and just as certainly, it has no feeling. It transmits to you the feelings that you want. Like any communication medium, the body receives and sends the messages that it is given. It has no feeling for them. All of the feeling with which they are invested is given by the sender and the receiver. The ego and the Holy Spirit both recognize this, and both also recognize that here the sender and receiver are the same. The Holy Spirit tells you this with joy. The ego hides it, for would keep you unaware of it. Who would send messages of hatred and attack if he but understood he sends them to himself? Who would accuse, make guilty, and condemn himself? Okay, so that's simply that, that expression when we point a finger at somebody out there, that there are three fingers pointing back, that whatever we put out is going to be returned back to us. When we hurt others, when we attack others, it's ourselves that we are hurting and attacking. And so that's really the true crux of the golden rule. That's why we would want to treat others as we would want to be treated. It literally is treating others as ourselves, seeing ourselves in another's eyes, seeing ourselves in another's shoes. That's where we can then at least make a bridge through compassion, which gets experienced as empathy. Okay, I'm going back to share the screen for chapter 15, for paragraph 15. The ego's messages are always sent away from you in the belief that for your message of attack and guilt will someone other than yourself suffer. And even if you suffer, yet someone else will suffer more. The great deceiver recognizes that this is not so, but as the enemy of peace, it urges you to send out all your messages of hate and free yourself. And to convince you this is possible, it bids the body search for pain in attack upon another, calling it pleasure and offering it to you as freedom from attack. Okay, so for us, I think it's enough to just bring to mind that there is a great deceiver who has us believing that if we just keep expressing or throwing out our derision, our words of attack, our judgments, our gossip, that if we keep regurgitating it, or as we keep releasing it from our minds through our mouths into the world or into one another's ears, that as we release it, we become free of it. But what we find is that's just not true. It's not true. It's not true energetically. It's not true psycho-spiritually. Because if the source is not undone, the source of the grievance, the source of the misunderstanding, the source of the misconception is not undone, then we'll just keep feeding from that fountain. So what I love about these sections of the text is we are really being invited to have awareness around these unconscious habits, thought systems, and beliefs to then make a different choice in any given moment. That's self-mastery, really. So let's go back to the text for paragraph 16 and 17. We'll keep going to the end. Hear not its madness. So hear not the deceiver's madness, and believe not the impossible is true. Forget not that the ego has dedicated the body to the goal of sin, and places in it all its faith that this can be accomplished. Its sad disciples chant the body's praise continually in solemn celebration of the ego's rule. Not one but must believe that yielding to the attraction of guilt is the escape from pain. No one but must regard the body as himself, without which he would die, and yet within which is his death equally inevitable. Paragraph 17, we'll keep going. It is not given to the ego's disciples to realize that they have dedicated themselves to death. Freedom is offered them, but they have not accepted it, and what is offered must also be received to be truly given. For the Holy Spirit, too, is a communication medium, receiving from the Father and offering his messages unto the Son. Like the ego, the Holy Spirit is both the sender and the receiver, for what is sent through him returns to him, seeking itself along the way and finding what it seeks. So does the ego find the death it seeks, returning it to you. Well, that's it. The most important thing here is to remind ourselves that, as convincing as it feels, we are not our bodies. The body is constantly arising and passing away. The body that we are inhabiting now and having this experience is not the body that we had when we were 2 or 12 or 22, and it won't be the body that we'll continue to inhabit as we continue on our journey until it's time for the body's function, the body to retire and to be returned into this incredibly sophisticated recycling system. And so then out of that, the pure consciousness continues on its journey. And so it's so interesting where we opt to focus our periscope of attention as we navigate this life, when we know that inevitably we will be on the other side of this experience, on the other side of the body's experience. All right, so coming back now to share the screen, let's prepare for our lesson, to practice today's lesson together. We are going to workbook for the students, and we are now at lesson 29. And so I'm going to have the narrator read this for us.
God is in everything I see. Lesson 29. God is in everything I see. The idea for today explains why you can see all purpose in everything. It explains why nothing is separate, by itself, or in itself. And it explains why nothing you see means anything. In fact, it explains every idea we have used thus far and all subsequent ones as well. Today's idea is the whole basis for vision. You will probably find this idea very difficult to grasp at this point. You may find it silly, irreverent, senseless, funny, and even objectionable. Certainly, God is not in a table, for example, as you see it. Yet we emphasized yesterday that a table shares the purpose of the universe, and what shares the purpose of the universe shares the purpose of its creator. Try then today to begin to learn how to look on all things with love, appreciation, and open-mindedness. You do not see them now. Would you know what is in them? Nothing is as it appears to you. Its holy purpose stands beyond your little range. When vision has shown you the holiness that lights up the world, you will understand today's idea perfectly, and you will not understand how you could ever have found it difficult. Our 6 two-minute practice periods for today should follow a now familiar pattern. Begin with repeating the idea to yourself, and then apply it to randomly chosen subjects about you, naming each one specifically. Try to avoid the tendency toward self-directed selection, which may be particularly tempting in connection with today's idea because of its wholly alien nature. Remember that any order you impose is equally alien to reality. Your list of subjects should therefore be as free of self-selection as possible. For example, a suitable list might include: God is in this coat hanger. God is in this magazine. God is in this finger. God is in this lamp. God is in that body. God is in that door. God is in that wastebasket. In addition to the assigned practice periods, repeat the idea for today at least once an hour, looking slowly about you as you say the words unhurriedly to yourself. At least once or twice, you should experience a sense of restfulness as you do this.
Okay, I'm smiling because the narrator, I don't remember ever hearing a reference to yesterday and today. I could be mistaken, but so in yesterday's lesson, and so again, I just want to emphasize that while it's possible to do a lesson a day, and there have been periods, years where I have done a lesson a day, it's not required. You can sit with this material, digest it, be with it. Oh, I just remembered I didn't put in my headset. Is that better? All right, so let me bring up the language again. So it is God is in everything I see, and then the practice is taking 2 minutes to mindfully, consciously look around, let your eyes land on the different objects near and far, and say to yourself, God is in this object. And so, as I shared with you in our last video, I found a timer. Okay, let me see if I can try and find it. So, as I am looking for it, maybe it has to be stop share. You know, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll use our timer, the traditional one. Okay, so I'm setting the timer for 2 minutes. As always, begin by just taking a moment to give yourself permission to be exactly where you are, to feel what it feels like to be in your body, to feel the support of the floor, to feel the support of the air as it's holding you in just the right amount, to pay attention to where your clothes end and your body, the skin begins, and vice versa, where your skin, your body ends and the clothes begin. Just feel what it is to be looking out into the world through these eyes, through your unique perspective and at your perfect height as well. And if you like, you can take a nice, luxurious breath, exhaling the past, the waste wind, to prepare to make room and to bring in, to breathe in the truth, the peace, the grace, the unconditional love of this now moment. Okay, so I'm going back to share the screen so that you can see the language. God is in everything I see. I'm starting the timer now. Okay, wonderful. So that is our timer. And the text had said that we would feel a sense of restfulness. And so even in 2 minutes, just with this simple practice, is that true for you? Let me know in the comments. I'm always curious about how this journey is going for you. So feel free to share. I'd love to hear. All right, so now remember that you are to practice this lesson 6 times in the day. So you can go ahead and set a series of timers to remind yourself of the practice periods. And then you're also being invited to just at various points throughout the day to repeat the idea for today's lesson as you go about your business. God is in everything I see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again so that we can look at our principle of miracles. So we are in chapter 1, the meaning of miracles, section 1, the principle of miracles, and we are at principle number 47. And I suggest taking a screenshot of the principle just so that you can refer back to it in the day, bring it top of mind. Principle number 47. The miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. And also feels like it's describing potentiality for the paranormal, right? For the realm of mysticism. And those experiences are hints, they're whispers, they're nudges to our true nature, which is eternal. All right, so thank you again for joining with me as we explore the Course in Miracles together. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself sharing this with you. I've held this work close to my chest for so many years that it's fun to go back into it and hear myself speak the words and receive it again, redigest it, and go deeper into it. So I'm just grateful for you that I get to do this. But really, it's me just talking to myself, right? Okay, so I'd like to remind you to check the elilacenter.org website and click on the calendar of events, because I offer regular mindfulness-based meditation classes and also natural healing self-help classes, both of which create the conditions for miracles. The first class, the mindfulness-based meditation class, is the third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern. And the natural healing self-help class is on the fourth Monday of the month, 7 p.m. Eastern as well. And so I would love to meditate with you. I am a firm believer that we heal in community, and especially when we come together with a like-minded intent. And where two or more gather in my name, I am there. And I hold that idea close to my heart as well. All right, wonderful. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.